Hello, everybody. My name is Daniela Stransky, and I will be talking about the country of India. India is among the most populated countries worldwide, with a population of up to 1.3 billion people. And India contributes 70% of the total worldwide population. That's a lot. These vital statistics show how important India is to the world's economy and global community as a whole. Because of this, India has attracted a considerable amount of attention from scholars drawn from the regulations of sociology, anthropology, and economics, among others. India as a country has been analyzed in various contexts of subtopics, and in that perspective, this presentation aims to analyze India in the context of its socioeconomic and political status, the language, cultural belief system, and the impact of the media culture, also known as Bollywood. In the analysis of the socioeconomic and political status of the country, one is usually required to provide a discussion detailing the interaction and relationship between social and economic and political factors of this particular country. So, concerning education, India has a vigorous educational system driven by both the private and public divisions. It is a constitutional right for every child in India from the ages 6 to 14 to get an education. They must. Notably, India's higher education system ranks third worldwide after following the United States of America and China. Another socioeconomic factor that is worth consideration is the mean livelihood in India, which is 73% of all households in India are in the rural areas. This shows that only a small fraction of the households are based in the urban areas. Over 50% of these families are living in the rural areas as farmers. Agriculture holds an important part in India overall, economically, mainly through a great contribution to the gross domestic merchandise and the fraction of the population in the agricultural sector. The India Brand Equity Foundation states that 50% of the entire population in India is in the agriculture sector, doing farming as the main source of their livelihood. Another social economic factor worth consideration, which was a main topic that came up, is healthcare. Because of the lack of the well-established healthcare cover policy in the country, most of the patients pay from their pocket, and this has a very bad effect, which basically the use out of this out-of-pocket module to meet healthcare costs by people of India has only served to basically create more poverty situation, driving more than 39 million people to poverty. The factor to be analyzed includes that of political status of India. India is a democratic and sovereign country by the virtue of India having an enormous population and being democratic. The country is usually described as the largest democracy in the world. The political landscape of India is characterized by 5 main national parties. This shows that the country has allowed a multi-party democracy, which usually isn't very common and lacks in most of the countries. The Prime Minister is the top and the most political, but acting as a leader or the head of the government alone. Further, the India's president is taken as the head or the chief leader of the state with a total of 29 states. The elections in India are held every 5 years, making one term. Therefore, in terms of a political status, India can be argued to have one of the biggest democracies in the world. The two official languages in India include those of Hindi and English. Interestingly, India as a country is known to have 23 languages that are both recognized and documented constitutionally. In addition to Hindi and English, other languages include those of, and excuse me if I pronounce the languages incorrectly, they're called Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, Telugu, and Kannada, among others. The two main language families include those of Indo-Aryan language, which is spoken to over 75% of the Indian population, and the other main one is Dravidian, which is spoken by only 20% of the Indian population. So, the dominant religion is Hinduism, which is 82% of the population, Muslim 12%, Christians only 2%. But one thing I found interesting is that the most fundamental belief in Hinduism is reincarnation, where the soul is reincarnated usually depends on a person's commitment to what is good and right, and that is what Indians famously refer to as karma. Hinduism tends to present a social classification of people, where people are categorized depending on their position in society. And the highest level includes that of Brahmin or priest, and the lowest includes that of Sudra. The Indian tradition is better manifestified in their culture, food, and marriage ceremonies. Indian clothing is usually dictated by one's ethnicity, climate, and geographic location, and marital status. The female clothing is known as a sari, that usually covers the whole body and measures up to actually 9 meters long, which I did not know. This is usually determined by one's age, where the younger females usually wear what is known as the pavada. The Indian dressing code has influenced fashion around the world because of their uniqueness and bright colors. Regarding food, India has another ordinary cuisine having a broad range of spices. The Indian cuisine is usually attributed to an excellent climate and the fertile soils in India that can support a wide range of crops and plants. The media culture, also known as Bollywood, is better manifestified through the film industry in the country. India's film industry is worth up to $10 billion with an enormous potential and capacity of producing 1,500 to 2,000 films every year. Given these points, it is clear that India's socioeconomic and political status plays a significant role both at the national and the international levels. The enormous population of 1.2 billion people is both an asset and a challenge for the whole government of India. It has emerged that 70% and above the households are in rural regions, and 50% are below the poverty line. This can be attributed to the fact that the major economic activity of the people in rural India is that of farming or agriculture. Despite the challenge of a big population size and poverty, India has managed to be the leading exporter of fruits in the world. India's vibrant education has also attracted a high number of foreign students and stands as a significant source of international students studying in various institutions. India has also emerged despite the numerous number of challenges facing the healthcare sector. India's pharmaceutical industry stands as the third largest exporter of pharmaceutical products. Therefore, it can be argued that India plays a very significant role in global economy and culture. Thank you. And I am sorry that I could not have the visual presentation. I'm in North Carolina and did not bring my iPad with me, which is why I am using photobooth. But I have posted my presentation on livetext so you can see the visual. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation.